This legislation effectively bypasses a lot of our consultative areas and
Welcome to Unfiltered. My name is Dan, and Canadians from every province are dropping into the comments, and we want your voice too. Make sure you drop your province. It's how we're building a real grassroots conversation right across the country. Today, we're going to be diving into Bill C-5. Ottawa calls it a nation-building plan, but Indigenous leaders are raising alarms. Alberta's neighbors are acting smug, and energy executives, well, they're celebrating already. Stick around, though, because what the Grand Chief of Treaty 8 said might change your mind on how you see this entire debate. Think of Bill C-5 like a giant reset button for how Canada approves big projects. There's really two parts to it. First, it wipes away trade barriers between provinces, something that, frankly, we should have done a long time ago. I was just talking to my neighbor the other day about it. Why has it been so hard for businesses and workers to share their craft across the provinces? Imagine a Nova Scotia winery finally able to ship coast to coast, or an Alberta leather worker sending custom boots to Quebec, a BC woodworker selling handcrafted tables to Saskatchewan families without the endless red tape. That's the first part. This isn't just policy, it's people's livelihoods. It's small businesses finally able to grow nationwide. Now, the second part, it gives Ottawa the power to label projects nation building, pipelines, housing, dams, mines, you name it. Once they slap that label on it, approvals get fast, tracked from years to months. And it sounds good, right? But just hold that thought. Section 35 of Canada's Constitution protects Indigenous treaty rights, hunting, fishing, and self-government. It also requires Ottawa to consult Indigenous nations before greenlighting projects on their lands. But constitutional isn't a handshake. It's a legal duty. Also, Bill C-5 may be on a collision course with that duty.
This bill and the economic potential that it will unleash for our country is critical. For far too long, when federal agencies have examined a new project, their immediate question has been why. Now, they will instead ask themselves, how?
It seems Ottawa is selling C-5 as a cure for all Canadian economic headaches. It's bold, it's fast, it's collaborative, or so they say.
I mean, the first thing is that at the heart of this legislation is Section 35 of our Constitution. At the heart is not just respect for, but full embrace of free, prior, and informed consent. It has to be seen as well in parallel with very major measures that this government is taking to not just support those partnerships, but also to finance equity ownership in these nation-building projects for Indigenous peoples, Indigenous groups, Indigenous right holders.
On the surface, this does sound like common sense. Far too long, projects have been buried under endless reviews and red tape. But let's pause. Is this shift really about helping Canadians or helping Ottawa pull more strings from the center? Full embrace? That's a big promise, but promises like these don't always match what happens on the ground. Listen to that hesitation. Even Carney sounds unsure. It's not confidence, it's a contradiction. You can't fast track and fully consult at the same time. So which is it, Ottawa? While Ottawa talks inclusion, Indigenous leaders like Treaty 8 are already raising red flags. That's not politics. It's lived experience. For decades, Indigenous nations have watched governments make shiny promises about partnerships only to be left out of the room when it really matters. Think about it. Over 600 nations, each with their own autonomy and priorities. Is Ottawa really prepared to sit with each one? Or are we looking at another check-the-box consultation process to rubber stamp projects?
Piece of legislation.
Well, the biggest concern we have is that it's eroding our rights as Indigenous people here, the treaty rights, the rights holders. As we firmly believe, and courts have, they've supported our claims that the resources belong to us, and this legislation effectively bypasses a lot of our consultative areas and it's very concerning to our chiefs. As Treaty 8, we have the tar sands and other major projects in the area that also, impact our nations at every level. And we're looking to be partners and to be respected with this new bill. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So, we're just, I guess, strategizing at this point to see what our next steps are.
And then there's BC, Premier Eby, standing at the podium sounding more like he's handing out gold stars than collaborating.
Well, I think it's a simplification and not quite right to say that I've said no. We've supported Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan with a trade corridor from Manitoba right through to Prince Rupert. It could include energy projects. It could potentially include a heavy oil pipeline project. But what I don't support is tens of billions of dollars in federal subsidy going to build this new pipeline when we already own a pipeline that empties into British Columbia and has significant additional capacity, 200,000 barrels. I think we should start there. I think we should start with the projects that are shovel ready to go to grow our economy.
He paints BC as the model, clean energy, ready to go projects and strong partnerships. But listen closely.
Yeah, I've been clear with the Premier. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm happy to sit down with Alberta and have those conversations. She is advocating strongly for this project. I am very opposed to the idea that this would assume all federal money and hoover it up when we have major projects with private proponents, cash on the table, ready to go to hire people and build. Let's focus on those.
I think it was a giggle. It's more like a chuckle. It's a tell. It's a smug. It says, we've got it figured out, Alberta. Why don't you?
Well, we have major energy projects here in the province that are ready to go. LNG Phase 2, the Silisms LNG project. We also have clean energy projects. We have major hydroelectricity projects, as well as wind and solar projects that will intertie with the Yukon and with Alberta to assist them in decarbonizing and in driving industry. We have massive mining sector projects in the Northwest. We're working with First Nations there. It's like the Ring of Fire, except we're actually working with the First Nations, and the projects have mining companies that are world leading and prepared to start digging.
Actually work with Indigenous groups as if others don't? That's not leadership. It's political theater. And Western Canadians, well, we know the difference. Now, let's talk about something a lot of Western Canadians have been waiting for. Real jobs, real projects, and real hope. For a few years now, medium-sized businesses across BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan have been asking, when's the next big project coming? And the answer might finally be with Bill C-5.
I met a number of energy leaders at a roundtable in Calgary a few weeks ago with the Prime Minister and others. And they were very excited to hear that we were moving forward with this legislation. It means a lot in terms of economic predictability, in terms of smoothing over the uncertainty, not just from the U.S. tariffs, but all of the uncertainty that surrounds the tariffs. So the indirect result of uncertainty as well.
That excitement, it is contagious because let's face it, our communities have been hurting without shovels in the ground. But here's where I kind of pump the brakes a little bit. It's easy to talk about fast tracking approvals, but remember, this is still Ottawa. Behind all that excitement, there are still consultations, summits, and processes that could drag on for years. So yes, we want those jobs. Yes, we're ready for the growth. But let's not celebrate until we see equipment working the ground and workers getting hired. If this is really resonating with you, we would love for you to join us here at Unfiltered. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this content out and contribute in the comments. Make sure you drop your province in the comments below. Thanks. So let's connect the dots. Ottawa wants speed. BC wants the moral high ground. Indigenous leaders want respect. And well, Alberta left wondering if they'll even get a seat at the table. Bill C-5 isn't just legislation, but I'm wondering if it's a test of who really runs Canada's economy. Here's the unfiltered bottom line. This isn't about building, it's about control. And if Ottawa can grab this much power with one bill, what's next? Make sure you drop your province in the comments below and let's get unfiltered. Share this video to help Canadians from coast to coast to coast to see what's really happening. And if you want to support independent content like this, make sure you drop a super thanks or grab a coffee at the link below. No pressure, just keep watching. That's what matters most. My name is Dan. We'll see you in the next video, and this is Unfiltered.